Hey there, this is Seth, and welcome back. This is part 2 of how I find motivated sellers and get them calling me. And in this stage, we're going to take the list that we just downloaded from our data service of choice, and we're going to take that information and start sorting it and scrubbing it and getting it ready for the third and final stage, which is sending out our marketing, whether that's direct mail or text messages or cold calling, you name it. And when you download your list from your data service, there's going to be a whole lot of information on this list, a ton of information that we don't actually even need. So it's just a matter of going through this and identifying what do we keep, what do we get rid of, so we have an organized file that we can take on to the next step. And different data services will provide different bits of information, but most of them will give all the basics, which is the property owner's name and mailing address, and then the address of the property itself. And if you skip trace your list, like what I did in the previous step, you're also going to find phone numbers and email addresses for all of those property owners. Now, this is an optional step, and some data services don't even give you the option to skip trace it, but where I got my list from, it did. So that's why I have this information. And the only reason you even need this is if you're planning to send out text messages or call them up or send emails to these people. That may or may not be what you're trying to do. If you're just doing direct mail, you don't need this stuff at all. You just need the mailing addresses. So when I get a list like this, my first step is to expand each of these columns so that I can actually see what's in them. So I just go right up here, and I'm using Microsoft Excel here. Go to Format, and then Columns, and then Auto Fit Selection, and that expands it just so I can see what these headers even say. Also, I'm going to be blurring out some of this information because this is, sensitive data. I don't want to just put people's phone numbers and email addresses out on the internet like this, but hopefully just based on the headers, you'll be able to understand what's on this list. I'm also going to zoom in a little bit just so we can see this better. So another thing we can do is get this top row, which basically just labels what every single cell beneath it is, and just get it to stick to the top just so we don't miss that. We can just go up here to View and then Freeze Panes and then Freeze Top Row. And now that's going to stay in place as we scroll down. Now, this is not a massive list. That's partially by design. A lot of lists that you might get could be hundreds, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of records in size. It kind of just depends on the scale of your business and what you're going for. Now, another thing you might want to do at this point, because all this information is useful, we just don't necessarily need it for the purpose of sending mail or sending out text and that kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is save a copy of this original file to my computer, and then also save an updated version of it once we're done with cleaning it up. So the information I'm looking for here is really just the name, address, city, state, zip code, possibly the phone numbers and email addresses if I'm using that information. So I'm gonna go over here and insert a few rows to the left, and let's label these things. Name, address, city, state, zip, phone 1, phone 2, and email. You'll notice that some of these things have more than a couple phone numbers. You can add more if you want, but I'm just going to leave it at that. So when we're looking for the property owner's first and last name to go in this first cell. So we go up here and we can see owner names and also mail names. And when we look down here, we can see it's mostly the same names on both of these. It's just a matter of how they're ordered. So from what I'm seeing here, mail names seems to be the one that's more appropriate to use here because it just shows the first and last name or the company name. So I'm going to copy these and put them all right there. And we'll notice that some of these things have blanks in them. So for those blanks, I'm going to grab these and fill those in from the owner name column just to make sure I'm not leaving anything completely blank. Now moving on over here, we're looking for the mailing address, and we can see we've got the mail full address. So this is actually just the street address portion of it. It's not literally the full address. So I'm going to copy all this and put it over in the address column. Go back over here, put it there, and then city, state, and zip. We'll grab this from mail city, mail state, and zip. They're actually all right next to each other. So we'll just copy these, put them right in there. Now phone 1, phone 2, and email, we can find those right over here. So this column here that just says phone, that gives it to us right there. And copy this over here. And we've got alternative phone over here. And you'll notice that, some of these just don't have that at all. Some of them don't have any phone numbers whatsoever. So don't worry about it. It really only matters if you are planning to send text or call them up. If you are planning to do that, then obviously you can't call somebody that you don't have a phone number for. But you can still send direct mail to these people pretty easily. And then we've got some email addresses that it found over here as well. There's even less of those to go around, but still, we've got that in some cases. And we can put that right here. So now that we've got all of our basic information, what we can do at this point is just go through and either delete all of this stuff, or we can leave it there. We just want to make sure that when we get to the third and final step of uploading this list to a mail service or just handing it over to a mail service, depending on which one we're using, some mail services take very much the self-serve approach where, you do everything on your own and you work with your own list. Other mail services, you just give them your list and your template and they will handle it for you, but they still need your list and all the right information. So one way to handle this is to go through and just literally delete all of this stuff because you don't need it for the purpose of sending out mail or doing the rest of your work. And if that's what you want to do, you can just literally delete it all. And now you've got a nice clean list here. Or another way you can handle this is if you're using a CRM like Stride CRM, because you have all their phone numbers and a lot of email addresses, you could go ahead and just import your entire list right now before you've done anything else, before you've sent mail, before you've sent texts. All you'd have to do is go over here to contacts in your account and go over here to import contacts and check this box right here, click next, and we're going to save this file right here and then bring it right in here. And keep in mind, this does have to be a CSV file. So if you downloaded this as an XLS or XLSX file from your data service of choice, you're either going to have to save the file as a CSV file first, or just make sure you get it from the original source as a CSV file. And then when you go to upload it right here, the next step is to map out all the fields. And when you're taking this approach, you don't necessarily need to delete everything like I just showed you. You just need to make sure that as you're importing the information, you just want to be sure that you're matching up the right fields in Stride with the right columns in your CSV file. So for example, we would find owner 1 first name, just the first names of each person, or possibly just the mail names, whichever one you think makes the most sense. And we're going to go over here and find the name and make sure that it's pulling from the correct column. So for example, owner first name would go into first name, owner last name would go into last name, like that. Lot acres, so that is in our spreadsheet and it's also in our CRM. So we just have to match those things up with each other. So we'll find property size and acres. Go ahead and select that. And then the APN, so we can find that as well. And as we're doing all this, what we're doing is we're taking this mess of data and we're organizing it as we bring it into our CRM. And the nice thing is, as we send our marketing out to these people, whether it's mail or texting or cold calling, and if and when they respond to us, we're not going to have to manually type in all this information about their properties and ask them all these questions because we're already going to have all that information from the spreadsheet. So once we just type their name, it'll pull them right up. It'll have all the details right there, and it'll just save us a ton of time because we're taking this initial step by putting it in there. And I will say, in Stride, it syncs up this information based on the person's phone number or email address. So if you didn't skip trace your list, like if you don't have the phone numbers and email addresses as you're importing it, then in that case, I would not import it all up front like this, because then you'll just be creating duplicates because you don't have anything to sync the data from the incoming information when these people call or email you back with what's already there, because it's synced by that phone number. So again, if you don't have this skip trace data, then don't worry about importing it before the fact. Now, another thing you can do with this list, if you didn't already get rid of any duplicates in it, or maybe if you did try to get rid of the duplicates from your data service, but you still want to double check that, you can go ahead and sort this stuff alphabetically. So for example, we could take the address field, go up here to data, and then sort it from top to bottom. And it's going to show us all the different addresses that show up here. And you'll see sometimes we get duplicates like this one right here. So, I wouldn't necessarily want to send this person 2 letters just because I have their information on here twice. So I could get rid of this duplicate before I move on to the next step of sending the mail, if that's what my next step is. And I could also get rid of this duplicate that's showing up here. I see another one right here. When you sort the list alphabetically like this, whether it's the address or the name, those duplicates really jump out to you a lot better because you can see them all right next to each other. Get rid of these right here. You get the idea. Or if you happen to see any names on here where you're just like, yeah, I'm never going to be doing business with Pizza Hut 2 LLC. I mean, maybe you will, maybe you won't, but say if you see like a bank or like the US government or some owner that you just know you don't even want to bother sending mail to or trying to talk to, this is your chance to delete it from your list, either before you import it to your CRM or before you send out your mail or start sending your text messages. We can get rid of these ones right here, and you get the idea. This is how you sort the data, and you can either completely remove this stuff, or again, if you're going to import it into your CRM, like Stride, for example, you can just make sure you have the right information in the right places, then carefully map out each field as you import it. And by doing that, you can just save yourself a lot of future time manually typing things in, because all that information is already on your list. You might as well just map it out right and put it in the right place to begin with. Once you have your list all sorted and ready to go, the next step, if you're sending direct mail, is to reach out to your direct mail service of choice. There's a few different ones that I've used in the past. I'm going to link to a couple of videos right beneath this one where you can learn more about some of the ones that I think are the best and why, and also some of the pros and cons between each one. Sometimes it depends on how much mail you're sending out or what kind of mail you want to send out. And in this next video, I'll explain how you can make that decision of where to go. Also, if you've got a really small list, like less than 500 that you're trying to send out, in that case, you may only have one option to do this, and that is click to mail, because they're one of the only services out there that will send out that small of a campaign. I don't necessarily think they're the best one or the best priced, but again, if you want to send out a smaller campaign like that, a lot of the better direct mail service companies won't do that because they only send out much larger campaigns. And if you want to send out texting or do cold calling, you could take this same information and take it over to your texting platform, or give it to your cold calling agency or your cold caller and have them get to work. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.